We talk a lot about games being interactive movies and how one day the games are going to play themselves for us. And it was a big joke, but now it's actually legitimate because PlayStation has patented a new tech that can allow AI to play games if you get stuck. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, it is absolutely insane that we have gotten to a point where game companies just want the AI to play the game for you, but I suppose in their mind, it's better that you have an AI go through certain sections for you if the game is a little too tough than you not playing it and potentially giving it a bad review because you got stuck. It is mind blowing, in my opinion, that somebody would buy a game just to have an AI play it for you. But that's Sony's new mindset because they have patented an AI gaming ghost that will play PlayStation games for you when you get stuck. Now, we've heard a lot about these Sony patents in regards to AI. They've really been pushing the limits lately. I've talked about them on the channel, and I'll mention them again in a few minutes, but they have a bad actor detection patent that feels a lot like a digital social credit score, and it can even actually lock you out of playing a game if it thinks you're being too toxic. We know that they are developing an AI that censors games in real time, so you can remove violence, gore, sexual content, profanity, all at the click of a button. And now they're doing this. And maybe these things will never be used, but it's clearly in the back of Sony's mind. It's like they're preparing. A patent filed by Sony has now resurfaced and shows the company has ideas for an AI ghost that could assist players if they get stuck in a game. The aforementioned patent, which was recently noticed by All About AI in VGC, describes an overlay version of a player's character. When in use, this overlay character would be able to demonstrate actions such as how to solve a puzzle, or by providing example controller input button sequences, which would in turn allow a player to then progress within the game. So instead of it just being yellow paint guiding you somewhere, or an AI and a character saying, oh, maybe you should try looking at this other item, or oh, you need to go back into this other room, it would just be a tutorial ghost on the screen that would lead you everywhere and show you the button inputs for things like puzzles and codes. And I think that this is crazy because if you are really playing a game just to have the game tell you exactly what to do, you do not enjoy games. I understand that sometimes titles are tough and you get sick and tired of looking for this like really niche code and combo for this puzzle. I can understand that occasionally for somebody they might say, "Oh, I'm just going to look up a guide." But if you need to rely on systems like this, I just think that maybe you should go to watching movies, or you can always watch playthroughs on YouTube. Then you get to save money. But yeah, I think that this is only going to make games worse because we constantly hear about these studios wanting to chase a wider audience and a global audience. That usually means dumbing things down. It's like how they will aim for a T for teen rating for a game instead of getting a mature rating because it means more people could play their experience. Systems like this make people dumber. It's like people don't read anymore. Okay, well, then people are going to get dumber. And that's just the case. I mean, we're going to get to a point where these games are going to hold your hand so much that there's no point to even play them anymore. It says in some cases an AI ghost could also have a conversation with the player's character and give some guidance or instruction about what to do. This does already happen to a certain extent, and it's been happening for a long time, but it sounds like they're going to push those limits. Other times, the ghost could complete a section for the player. It sounds like an evolution of PlayStation's Game Help on PS5, which offers users tips and guides via videos and images on the screen. So, what they're going to do is just create an AI that can play a game for you. That is so almost heartbreaking for me because there's going to be developers who say, well, we don't want people to have to do that. So that means we have to make them easier across the board. And then people who don't need to rely on these systems are going to be sort of punished for it. Now, the thing is that these might go nowhere. All of these different patents they might never see the light of day, and Sony just wants to have them for the sake of having them. But I do think that something like this is going to be implemented. Just like how these patents to detect like toxicity are already in use on things like Xbox. So, of course, Sony's going to use them, in my opinion. I've talked about these in other videos. Those will be linked down below in case you're interested. But according to a recently published filing, the Sony Bad Actor patent outlines a system that tracks and scores players across online multiplayer games based on how frequently they exhibit negative behavior. If a player crosses a predetermined threshold by, for example, engaging in inappropriate chat or griefing, Sony's system could automatically limit their access to online features until they improve their behavior. So they're saying if we think you are being too toxic, you can't play the game you purchase anymore. What a slap in the face. I don't know if it would ever be this extreme. I do think, though, that I would not be surprised at all whatsoever if they tried to push the limits as much as possible, because that's just what companies do. They push and push and push until people withhold funds, until people boycott, until they get destroyed on social media over these situations. And yeah, this sounds like 1984 wrapped up with a pretty bow on top, though Sony is also developing an AI that censors games in real time. This is the most recent of these situations, back from December 19th. Sony is developing a patent-pending AI system capable of real-time censorship of video game content. It automatically detects and modifies mature or sensitive material, such as violence, gore, sexual content, and profanity. The tech uses AI to analyze on-screen visuals and audio in real time, dynamically intervening by muting dialogue, blurring or masking elements, or replacing assets like blood effects or character models to reduce intensity. And yes, this would be an option so you can toggle it on or off. But again, I do think that this is going to change the way that games are made fundamentally, because a developer doesn't want their work censored. A developer wouldn't want 90% of things on the screen to be altered by this AI. And so that means they're going to take a step back, reevaluate, and remove certain terminology and themes and character design so the AI wouldn't censor it, and then everything's just going to be sanitized. I do think that this happens a lot more frequently, really, than people talk about, because there are so many studios out there who are so worried all the time about their content not being accepted. You have companies within the industry like Sweet Baby and who tell these studios, if you don't alter your game, people are going to boycott it and attack you and you're going to get canceled. And so from square one, things are altered, and I do not trust Sony after the years and years of bad content they've put out, pushing the limits, like this, for example. And I know a lot of people are worried, and it makes sense why, because the video game industry is in my opinion, very delicate place. We are seeing the largest companies losing their grip, indies and double A's doing phenomenally right now. And, well, that means we are going to see a major shift, which I think could be good, don't get me wrong, though the industry could also see a lot of changes very quickly, and things like this could go under the radar, and them adding systems that monitor you and lock down your access, which I think would lead to a lot of lawsuits. But now this new tech called the ghost player is getting roasted online, saying all these players nowadays need their fucking handheld. Just insanity. We used to beat people up for saying things like this. Bring back bullying. Journalists everywhere are thrilled. Is this something for disabled people to play and enjoy games more easily? I'm all for it, but I would recommend people who are able to play the games themselves at least try the challenge themselves. Sometimes that is the entire point of the game. And yes, I do think that it could be useful for a certain group of people, 100%. But at the same time, I do think that we see a lot of people, like journalists, for example, complaining about games. There's a big group of gamers online who say, ooh, the Souls games need certain difficulties. And I do think that Now, this is for the whiners and the babies. Are we devolving that much? PlayStation on, get a Fortnite win for me, bro. This generation is so soft. So, the new difficulty setting is basically skill issue here, borrow an AI. I'd rather my kids just ask for my help. Nobody asked for this. Sounds cool, but kind of defeats the whole point of gaming. So, I'll be keeping a very close eye on the AI news surrounding Sony and a lot of these video game companies. There has been a lot recently that I've covered, but for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.